All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, how are you?
Good. And again, we are at GP New Jersey 2017. This is an awesome opportunity video for those of you who are looking to play Legacy Lands.
Right.
And Jeff's going to talk about what he did in this deck here in a second. But let's just talk really, Jeff, tell us about your Magic story briefly. How did you get started? And why Magic? Why is it so cool for you?
So I've been a long-time Magic player ever since Alpha. I've been in and out of the game since then. But just recently I've started taking my Magic career more seriously, and I've been playing competitive in most every format. I started with Standard, I progressed to Modern, and eventually I got into Legacy.
Now, what out of all the formats that you're kind of playing in, what is your heartfelt favorite? What do you think?
It's tough to say, but I'd have to say my favorite format is Standard. And the only reason I say that is because I like how the playing field stays relatively even from series to series, rather than having these high-powered decks that usually end the game on turn 3 or turn 4.
What about Old School yesterday? You played some Old School.
Old School was very fun, I have to admit. It was.
Did I entice you to play some Old School?
I think in the future I could see myself playing more Old School Magic.
Yeah, it's kind of like Standard, right? You kind of slow control.
Yeah.
Some aggro, but yeah, it's just fun factor. All right, so guys, Jeff's been really kind to spend some time with us. This is a really complicated deck.
It sure is.
Why did you choose to make this deck? There's so many other decks to choose. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was deciding what deck to play for Eternal Weekend, which was in October. Actually, you can see this hoodie I got there.
Oh, nice.
And I couldn't decide what I wanted to play. As I was looking through all of the decks in the current meta game, Land struck me as awkward, almost. Slightly odd to play, and the challenge of playing it is what intrigued me. So I decided to challenge myself and try and learn the deck in a quick amount of time, and I ended up posting a decent result at the Eternal Weekend.
How did you do?
I went 5-4.
Oh, excellent.
For my first time ever playing competitive Legacy.
Wow.
So,
wow. And how long did you actually pilot the deck before that?
As a matter of fact, I had never played the deck.
So you went cold turkey?
Cold turkey. The first time I ever played this deck was in the Eternal Weekend tournament. So,
by the way, guys, Eternal Weekend is the main event. There's one in Europe, and there's North America is the one he's talking about. The one last held was in Pittsburgh, and it is the biggest Legacy and Vintage turnout. And I think Old School was like almost 120 players. It was incredible, right? Like what, 800 players, 900 players? Legacy players?
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
I don't remember how much.
It's a lot of dual lands, yeah. All right, guys. So, by the way, Lands is probably one of the most expensive decks.
It is
out there.
Yeah. Total cost of the cards is about 4,000. Most of the meta game Legacy decks are between 25 and 35. Lands typically runs a little bit more because of this specific card, the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale, which we'll talk about. This card is 1,500 by itself. But we'll talk about it.
All right, awesome. Let's get into it. So, real quick, guys, I'll also mention this at the end of the video. Jeff is actually going to be selling this beautiful deck. He would like to sell it as a whole, correct?
That's right.
To a person that wants to get into lands. If it's going to be like singleton cards here and there, I'm sure we can work something out. But if you guys watch this video, just go to vintagemagic.com, go to Contact Us. I will go ahead. I'm not making a dime on this this video in terms of brokering the deal. I want to help Jeff find the right buyer for the deck. Jeff's also getting married. Congratulations! So
yeah, thank you very much.
He needs as much money as he can so he can go to the casino or something. Try to win all the money back. How about all of the money on what's the $4,000 times the payout on roulette? 31.
If you play a number, I think it's 35 to 1.
Holy mother of God!
So it'd be about 140,000.
I think that's basically the wedding money.
You think we should do it?
I just say, what we'll do is we'll just like distract the dealer real quick and just put that $5,000 chip on there.
I agree.
All right, let's go real quick. Let's talk about wherever you want to start. Do you want to talk about the lands first, or is it all lands?
Well, that's the funny part.
Okay.
It's all lands.
Okay.
That's the tech name. But I'd like to talk first about just a little bit about the deck in general.
Sure.
So the deck is called Lands. I actually didn't come up with the idea. The idea's been around for a while now. And the premise of the deck is to play as many lands as you possibly can, and at the same time controlling the way your opponent plays the game. And there's ways to do that I'll talk about. But the power engine of this deck is this card here, Life from the Loam.
Let's put that down and
Okay.
Yeah, you can just talk and
sure.
I'll zoom in.
So all these cards are actually signed by Therese Nielsen. I had her sign it at GP Atlanta. But the card basically says that you can return up to 3 target lands from your graveyard. And the dredge on it is 3. So the goal here with this card is you can continually sacrifice lands or send lands to your graveyard and constantly bring them back to your hand by dredging 3 with Life from the Loam. Because if my library is in front of me and I cast Life from the Loam and life goes into my graveyard, the dredge on Loam is 3. So that means in my next draw phase, I'll top card into the graveyard, top card into the graveyard, top card into the graveyard, and most likely they're going to be lands. But it doesn't matter because Life from the Loam comes back to my hand.
So the process is you cast Life of the Loam. During what phase?
It's a sorcery.
Okay. So you take the first 3 cards, dredge it into your graveyard, but then it says you can pick any of the 3 in your grave, any 3, back in your hand.
So every time you dredge 3, the Loam goes back to your hand.
Wow.
So it doesn't matter that you're sending cards from your library into the graveyard because you're going to keep bringing them back with Loam.
Ah, right.
See what I'm saying?
Wow.
Right. So this is the power engine of the deck.
And that's the main card you want to cast first. You keep your hands.
Right. You want to have Life from the Loam in your hand. This is the way for your deck to really get going. So this deck has a few ways to win, and here they are. Your first way you can win this deck is with the Dark Depths Thespian Stage combo. Dark Depths is a legendary land. It comes into play with 10 ice counters on it. Now, if you pay 3, you can remove one of those ice counters. And eventually, when this land gets to 0 counters, it transforms. And it transforms into this. A 2020 indestructible flying creature.
For the love of God.
Marit Lage, which is a 1-shot kill. So, you may be asking yourself, well, 10 counters, I need 3 mana to constantly remove a counter. That's going to take me a long time.
Yeah.
And under normal circumstances, it would. But the kicker is Thespian Stage. Thespian Stage, you pay 2, and you can copy any target land. Now, here's the beauty of this. When you copy the Dark Depths, it becomes a copy of Dark Depths without the 10 counters on it. It automatically is deplete of counters. So you get the Marit Lage token.
Oh, that's what the ruling is.
Yes.
Wow.
Right.
So you're cheating it in.
Right.
Wow.
So if you can get Thespian Stage and Dark Depths in your hand and you play this, potentially on turn 3, you could have a 2020 indestructible flyer.
Force of Will doesn't do crap.
No, Force of Will won't stop it.
Only Path of Exile Swords.
Right. There are ways to bounce the token, and if you do bounce the token, you know, unfortunate. It happens sometimes. You know, people do have answers for this combo because this deck has been around. But that's how the Thespian Stage Dark Depths combo works. And if you can get it, by all means. Now, there are cards in this deck to help you get there. Let's say you draw your 7 cards and you don't have Thespian Stage or Dark Depths, or you have one or you have the other. Well, there are some ways to get those cards. So in this deck runs 4 gambles. And gamble says, search your library for a card. Not for a land, not for a creature, for a card. And you basically will take that card and you'll put it into your hand. And then what you do is you have your opponent pick at random from your hand and you have to discard a card. Now, yes, you could get very unlucky and they could take the Thespian Stage that you just went and got.
Right.
You know? But still, nonetheless, 1 mana for a tutor, essentially.
So the key card is Thespian Stage.
Thespian Stage, Dark Depths. Yeah. Sometimes you'll start your hand with 1 and you'll need to get it. And this card's beautiful too, because when your opponent discards a card from random at your hand, if they discard a land, you don't care, because you're just going to loam it back.
Oh,
See what
wow.
I'm saying? So you don't care if your lands go into your graveyard. As a matter of fact, you want them in your graveyard.
Ah.
Okay?
So it's like what you said before. It's like a dredge deck.
It is.
Yeah.
It very much is.
Interesting.
So that's one way to win the game quickly. Now, there's other things that you can do to pair with loam to tax your opponent, to really hurt your opponent. And these cards are cards like Wasteland, which everyone should be familiar with.
Sure.
Sacrifice the Wasteland, and you destroy a target non-basic land. Now, in Legacy, this is huge, because a lot of people only play non-basics. They play cards like Taiga or Bayou, or cards like this. Actually, I know a lot of players who don't even play any basic lands at all, Daniel. So Wasteland is a great card, and when you sack the Wasteland, and it goes into your graveyard, guess what?
Oh,
you
five for
loam it
loam.
back. Okay? And you can keep punishing your opponent's mana source.
That's like the Crucible Worlds Wasteland combo, but it's more, even just as effective.
Exactly.
Holy crap.
Exactly. Now, there's other ways to also hurt your opponent. The most expensive card in the deck is the Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. And Tabernacle basically says every creature has an upkeep cost of 1. Well, to you, it doesn't matter because you don't play any creatures. So, but for your opponent to constantly have to pay the tax on a creature every upkeep is very demoralizing.
So this is good against people with dinky little creatures.
That's right.
And also the Drop of Honey, right?
That's right. And Drop of Honey, which destroys the lowest power creature in play each turn.
You have no creatures.
During each upkeep. Now, see, the beauty of Tabernacle, though, here, is if you're wastelanding your opponent and they don't have lands, then they can't pay for their creatures. Their creatures die. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So it's a constant burden on your opponent. Now, let's say they do sneak a creature in, okay?
Yeah.
And you're concerned because you don't have any creatures. They have a creature on board. What are you going to do? Well, deck also runs Maze of Ith.
Holy, yeah, this card's amazing.
Okay, Maze of Ith is designed to prevent combat damage from an attacking creature. So these lands are a way for you to keep yourself in it, even if an opponent does manage to get some creatures down on the board through your Drop of Honey or through your Tabernacle. There's also cards in the deck like Glacial Chasm, which prevent damage. All damage is reduced to 0. Yes, you do have a cumulative upkeep, but the point of the card is to keep yourself from being harmed.
Now, is this one creature or?
So this is all damage dealt to you is reduced to 0. It's not just one creature.
So even a fire or burn thing?
Right. If an opponent hits you hard one turn for 20 damage,
it's good.
Glacial Chasm. So
some defensive mechanisms.
Some defensive mechanisms in case your Thespian Stage Dark Depths combo doesn't work out.
All right, so let's talk about crop rotation and the usage of that expiration.
Yeah, so crop rotation, again, works with loam. So at the time you play it, you sack a land. But remember, you don't care about sacking land because you're going to get them back. Search your library for a land card, put that card into play. So this works with Gamble, these two.
Right.
Because the point of these 8 cards are to get you these cards.
Got it.
See what I'm saying? So you always have a way through these to get to here.
Got it.
Okay?
All right, so Mana Bond, what's that?
Mana Bond. During your discard phase, you may choose to put all land cards from your hand into play. If you do, discard the rest of your hand. So considering you're only playing lands, you see where this is going?
Holy Mother of God.
Sometimes on turn 1, you just drop your whole hand.
Right.
Okay? And that card works very much in hand with Exploration, which says you can play an additional land each turn. Not as good as Mana Bond, but still, if you're playing an all-lands deck, you're dropping 2 lands every turn.
Right.
Okay? So eventually, you're going to get to the point where you have so many resources that you are very much in control of the game.
This deck is a long game.
It is.
Or you could probably win early, too.
You could end it early if you have the right hand. I've won games before on turn 3. But if you are in for the long run, the beauty of it is you have so many resources that there's no need to ever panic.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's also some other cool combos in this deck, such as the Grove of the Burned Willows Punishing Fire combo.
Ooh.
So Punishing Fire deals 2 damage to target creature or player. You can pay a mountain. If you do, you return it to your graveyard to your hand. So you can constantly just punish your opponent. I mean, that's the name of the card, right? Punishing Fire. Grove of the Burned Willows works excellent in this deck because it pairs very well with, where is the card? Where is the card? Here it is.
Oh.
Grove of the Burned Willows combos with Molten Vortex. So Molten Vortex says, discard a land card, Molten Vortex deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So, wait a second, I'm sorry, that's not the card. The card is, did we put it in the sideboard?
Yeah. Oh, this one, Bog?
No, it's not the Bog. It's
You know the name? That's fine if you.
yeah. There's a card in this deck.
So we don't keep the video. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, don't worry, guys. We'll put it in the comments. We'll put it in the description. There's another card.
There's another card.
With the Grove of the Burned Willows. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a comp. Yeah.
So basically, I can't think of the card off the top of my
Right,
head.
okay,
But
whatever the
basically,
cards.
whenever you gain life,
Right.
you can return the card to your hand.
Punishing.
Is it the Punishing?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It
Oh.
is Punishing. I just misread it.
Oh, right. Okay.
So whenever opponent gains life, you can pay the red.
right.
So in this card,
Yes.
you tap, okay, and an opponent gains 1 life, but you get the fire back. So the net effect is they constantly take 1. It's like a nasty cycle. So that's how you actually gain the life, by using the Grove of the Burned Willows.
Yeah, since we're going to be closer to time on this video, we'll do the guys. We'll do the sideboard in an the next video. But let's talk about the last few cards. The ports obviously are kind of defensive, right?
The ports are the ports are defensive, and you know they really go hand in hand with the whole tax theme that we talked about with the Tabernacle and the Drop of Honey. You know, you can really control the game if you are wastelanding your opponent and you have a Tabernacle down. They really end up not being able to do anything.
Obviously, a Mox Diamond for some extra mana sources.
Exactly.
Fast mana.
Fast mana. Exactly.
And the last card I want to talk about is Barbarian Ring. What the heck is that?
So Barbarian Ring, it adds a red to your mana pool. If you have Threshold, which is 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you pay a mount and you sack it, and it deals 2 damage to target creature or player.
Wow.
So it's basically a way to generate red mana, but it's also a constant ping.
Exactly.
You know, you can constantly ping. And the chance that you have more than 7 cards for Threshold is 100%. You're
Right.
playing lands. You're going to have so many lands in your graveyard, you're not even going to know what to do with them all.
All right, guys. Thanks again for watching the video. Again, this deck is going to be sold by Jeff, and I will help him out. Again, the next video will be the sideboard, and we'll have that on another video. Thanks again for watching.